Hello and welcome back to Beto Carreiro Park for the Grand Prix of Brazil. It's the 5th round of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. Hey everyone, my name is Paul Malin and we are all systems go here for the second race of the afternoon for MX2. Despite the tough conditions they had in Moto number 1. Not sure how much work they've been able to do out on the circuit, but one thing's for sure, the skies are brightening up ever so slightly. And it's stopped raining, which means that circuit is going to get a little bit sticky as this race goes on. There's Tommy Searle on the right-hand side of the grid, just there in the 3rd position. As he's, that's where he was at the inside in Moto number 1. But just like yesterday, it's going to be, or like Moto number 1, it's just going to be so important to get that start with conditions the way they are. Monster Energy girls down there primed, ready to go, 15 and 5. That will bring the riders under starters orders and that will get the race underway. But just to recap, Moto number 1, it was a victory for Tommy Searle on the Fluid Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. These are the positions in which the riders lined up from qualifying. The qualifying race yesterday afternoon, of course. But Christophe Charlier, great ride for him on the Monster Energy Yamaha in 2nd, his first ever MX2 podium. And then Jeremy Van Horbeek was 3rd, Max Anstey was 4th, Joel Roulants, Glenn Coldenhoff, Jake Nichols and Jose Boutron. Jordi Tixier was 9th, Harry Kulas was 10th. Then it was Lupino and Hurlings. Hurlings, of course, losing a potential 3rd place, 4th place finish, and dropped down with just a couple of laps to go, picking up just the 9 points. And the gap now at the top of the championship table, Tommy Searle is 2nd in the championship, 25 points behind Jeffrey Hurlings. Well, the 15-second board goes up. This race is about to get underway here. And the crowd starts to rise on their feet. It's an absolutely magic atmosphere out there. It's got something of a football arena style thing to it, but Jeffrey Hurlings up the inside. He'll want to get a good start, and what's the bet? If he does and gets his nose ahead, he'll go right across the right-hand side towards Tommy Searle, but spins up, and Tommy Searle gets the drive. And I think Hurlings has been squeezed to the inside. Tommy Searle tiptoes his way through. Does he come out in front? I think he has. Tommy Searle. And who's that's pulled a whole shot? Boutron, I think, there in 2nd position, goes into the lead into turn 2 and 3. So Tommy Searle on the right-hand side, number 100. He needs to find a way through here, if he can, to keep those goggles clean. Oh, almost gets caught. They did get caught by Boutron, both going for the same line in that left-hand turn. And I think that's Charlier again in 3rd position, so another good jump for the Frenchman, Christophe Charlier. But it's Jose Boutron who leads at the moment on the Diga Racing KTM. Tommy Searle's 2nd, Charlier there in 3rd place. Where's Hurlings? That's the big question. There was a Red Bull KTM disappearing in that right-hander, that bank turn just a moment ago. That might have either been him or Van Horbeek or maybe even Tixier, but we'll bring you that as soon as we have it. But at the moment, I think Lupino's in there as well. Well, that's Tixier, so that's ruled him out of the equation, and already his goggles are off. But Boutron, Searle, Christophe Charlier, they're the first 3 down the bottom. Lupino has got a good start down in, what, 4th, 5th position. I think I saw Joel Roulants down there, certainly Kawasaki. And it might have been Hurlings that did come through right in the early stages. Michael Lead showing up on our screen as being up there as well. So, of course, these are just at the first intermediate split. Tommy Searle not getting out of that left-hander too cleverly. And that's allowed Boutron to just put a little bit of distance between himself and Tommy Searle. Of course, still a very, very long way to go. Be interesting to see what the lap times are as well. Tommy Searle's fastest lap in Moto number 1. That's Searle who we are looking at as well. And again, the riders didn't go out for their sighting lap. So the circuit way different to what it was at the end of their MX2 race, because, of course, we've had MX1. They've just been out on track about an hour or so before this. Well, that was the end of the race anyway. But Christophe Charlier, he's definitely brought his A game with him, hasn't he? They're in 3rd place at the moment. These are your leading 3 riders in shot. That might be Roulants in 4th place. Kawasaki. So Joel Roulants on the move then. Roulants who finished 5th in Moto number 1 there, number 34. Wants to keep these guys in his line of sight. Circuit will start to dry out, of course, unless we do get rain, but not sure what the weather's going to do between now and the end of this race in the next 40 minutes or so. But one thing is for sure, these riders here who are heading the field at the moment, they cannot afford a mistake. Tommy Searle going around the outside. That's where Ferris lost his 2nd position in Moto number 1 in the MX1 class. look at the riders queuing up to come out of that turn. Here's Hurlings here. He's just gone by Lupino. So over the line for the first time then. Jose Boutron is your leader. Tommy Searle is second. Christophe Charlier is third. Joe Roulant is fourth. And then Jeffrey Hurlings in fifth position. Then it's Alex Lupino. He's in sixth place. Wait for our seventh place. Max Anstey on the Esther Garibaldi Honda. Then Van Horbeek 8th. Michael Lieb 9th. Dylan Ferrandis 10th. Jake Nichols 11th. Petar Petrov is in around there somewhere. Jake Nichols in 11th. Harry Kulas it is, who's 12th, sorry. Then Petrov in 13th. So the two Rockstar Energy Suzuki MX2 Europe guys, Linus Stern in 12th and 13th. Boutron struggling, is legging his way through the corner there. Almost off the bike. Tommy Searle up on the pegs, just trying to worm his way through. And then at the end of the straight here, what we're going to get, Tommy Searle tries to square off Boutron, is lining him up for a pass any time now, but that off camber, a very tricky place to do it. He's going to go round the outside of the rhythm section here, is he? No, he swaps to the inside. Deep rut awaits him. Marcel Muller, one of the locals, down in 14th place. Then Valentin Guyot in 15th place. Then we've got Andrews Armstrong, Jordi Tixier, Julian Lieber, Glenn Koldenoff and Jeremy Dubano down in 20th, the final point scoring position at the moment. But Tommy Searle would have wanted to have got by Boutron in that first couple of three corners when he had the opportunity. So all he's doing now is getting a face full of mud off the rear wheel of that Digo Racing KTM. Charlier in trouble in the background, losing the toe to these two guys, Boutron and Searle there, the number 100 Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. Doesn't look much that corner, but it is very, very steep, off-cambered from left to right as the riders go through there. If you're joining us for the first time today, good evening in Europe. You're 4 hours ahead of us in the UK, making it 10 past 7 at night, 10 past 8 in Central Europe. Of course, we've got an MX1 race to follow this as well, but these ruts now, they're fast going to be drying out. And I wonder who's going to be the first one to select lines between ruts where it's still quite flat on top. We might not see that until MX1 a little later on, but of course there are still areas out on the track that are very slippery. There's Charlier, recovering after, look how high those ruts are and how deep they are, but recovering after that mistake he made half a lap or so ago. He's got Joe Roulants behind him, just coming into shot now, and then Hurlings. So Hurlings looking interested in the drying conditions here in this second MX2 race here in Brazil at Beto Carreiro. The circuit situated in a theme park, or just on the outside of the perimeter fencing on a theme park. Roulants getting into trouble, coming through there. Deep sandy rut coming out of that penultimate turn, and then into the mush that is the final corner. Before they head down past the finish line area, VIP boxes up there to the left, the grandstand at the end behind the start straight, and it's still Boutron, fastest man on track, but Hurlings goes quickest as he comes over the line at 2:56.9. So a second or so, almost a second quicker than Jose Boutron, and it's Hurlings who's looking the most menacing here, coming under the bridge now. That's him, number 84 on the Red Bull Factory KTM. Needed two decent starts. You saw the rear wheel spinning up though as he tried to anticipate the start, kept the front brake on. We've got yellow flags around here. Kawasaki rider, but it's not Searle, but it's not Roulant. Lupino's still in 6th, Anthony 7th. Van Horbeek, Jake Nichols and Michael Lieb, they ran out the top 10. Our race leader at the moment here, number 17, Jose Boutron. I thought we'd lost Tommy Searle then for a moment, but he was just taking a little bit of time from sneaking out from behind that advertising banner. There he is, just flashing through now. But Boutron, a couple of laps into this race and looking comfortable. Staying away from the deep ruts on the inside. So it was the 108 then that went down, well, that's over the far side, up by the triple jump. That's Jeremiah Stubano. He was in 20th position up until then. Still waiting for him to come around. That was that corner there. There's Roulants, 34. He's in 4th position. It's the number 23 Monster Energy Yamaha rider, Christophe Charlier. Corsica in France. Tony Cairoli looking on, obviously watching the monitors, getting the same images as we are. He'll be wanting a little bit better than he got in Moto number 1. Tony Cairoli finished down in 8th place on the Red Bull KTM. Again, made a couple of mistakes. Lost a bit of ground before he picked himself back up again into inside the top 10. But Jose Boutron at the moment, that's Durbano, the 108. One of the local guys, actually, Durbano, from, well, not so local, actually, Argentina. Tommy Searle a little bit closer this time than he was to... Oh, he's got his roll-offs flapping all over the place. I'm sure, well, it's either tear-offs off the top of the helmet or roll-offs that have gone wrong. And if it's roll-offs, then that could be a problem for Tommy Searle. He's going to be having to discard the goggles. Very easy to get the roll-off film dislodged when big lump of mud maybe comes up off the rear wheel and pushes up on the front of the lens. And obviously, that can then cause that to happen. So Tommy Searle, I'm sure, will be more than mindful of that. Things that you can do there just to sort of tap it back into place, even during the race as you're going along. But Lupino up the inside. Looking in a good mood, Alessandro Lupino on the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna. KTM mechanic getting ready to put the board out to Hurlings. That's Lupino, 77. Hurlings just ahead of him. Right. Tommy Searle, our new race leader. So Tommy Searle has found a way through on Jose Boutron and set the fastest lap of the race as well. And obviously Jeffrey Hurlings will know that. He'll be mindful of the fact that Searle is probably now leading. There's a 34, that's Roulance. He's got Hurlings just behind him. Here's Searle. Tommy Searle with a bum bag around the waist as well. New gloves. New goggles in there, I would think, just in case he has to. Oh, Boutron gets it wrong, and Charlier goes through. So Boutron then, he held it out there for 3 laps. He makes a mistake, and now he's looking a little bit shaky as well on those wheels. Tommy Searle already greeted by back markers. 5:44 goes through. That's Marcel Muller. He's our onboard camera, or he was in Moto number 1 anyway. So Tommy Searle then potentially looking at closing the gap between himself as Charlier comes over the jump in the background in second, just gets a bit off balance over the tabletop. Roulance has distanced himself just slightly as Lupino gets it wrong, coming over the tabletop as well at the start of that rhythm section. Nothing too much rhythmical about it at the moment. Riders just having to pick their way through the ever-creasing ruts here that are deepening lap by lap. Jeffrey Hurlings sitting there in 5th at the moment. Doesn't have to rush his way through. He'll know that he's got more than 25 minutes plus as well. Almost another 6 minutes, possibly, when the lap times start to slow down. 2:54 at the moment, Tommy Searle, fastest man on track. And Boutron just running into problems again there on that camber. Joel Roulance just closing in. This is the battle for 3rd place because Charlier has already gone through. Oh, the Monster Energy Yamaha, he's there in 2nd position at the moment, just there, coming out of that turn. And Tommy Searle already away with this one at the moment. He was 1.5 seconds clear as he came over the line from Jose Boutron. It's just about being patient now, these conditions. There's Lupino in the background in the red and white. Got Hurlings just ahead of him. A little bit processional in parts on this racetrack. Nothing to do with the organisation or the track layout. It's just how the clean line develops when you get down to the ruts, and Hurlings goes through on Roulance, so he's found a way through then. And we've got a yellow flag situation over the top of this triple jump. And Boutron runs into trouble again, and that forces Hurlings to take avoiding action, and he almost got past there by the number 34 of Joel Roulance, and the bike's already starting to smoke here. Already starting to overheat. So the variables that can go wrong in this race, of course, the first thing you can do is crash and throw it all away, rider error. But the longer you sit behind somebody getting roosted, the radiators can start to fill up, they'll overheat. You can do clutches as well. Rider going down there. When you're a little bit over-exuberant on the clutch, you can burn the clutch out, or of course the engine can just give up. Julian Lieber picking himself up there. He was 19th. And he's got the leaders coming around the outside of him already. That's Boutron in 3rd. The number 17, the rider in shot there. With the blue shoulders. On the Digger Racing KTM, almost off the back of the bike through the little wave section. And his 5 minutes of fame there, just leading the opening couple of laps. But Charlier is who's 2nd. Now 7 seconds down on Tommy Searle. Jeffrey Hurlings, 84. He needs to find a way through on Boutron to pull back another couple of points. That will give him 20. And hypothetically speaking, if Tommy Searle were to go on and win this race, Tommy Searle will close down another 5 points. That will go from 41 to 20 points in 1GP. So it just goes to show you the Grand Prix World Championship isn't over until it's over. Hurlings looking for new lines. Everyone playing follow the leader at the moment, but Hurlings keen to find a way through on the Spaniard just ahead of him, number 17. Jose Boutron. Lupino looking good as well. Trying to find a way through on the 34. Joel Roulont's back marker. Whoa, bad choice of line for the back marker. Gets right in the way of Lupino, and Lupino folds the front end. And Lupino goes down, and Anstey is going to go through from 7th place. So Max Anstey inherits 6th with the demise of Alessandro Lupino in that bottom corner. And it looked like a little bit of a problem there for Jeffrey Hurlings. So Hurlings just not quite getting through there, and that KTM already starting to steam a little bit. Not the only bike out on track though that's doing that, as we mentioned a moment ago. So Lupino is going to lose certainly 6th place to Max Anstey, maybe even 8th to Van Hoorbeek, or 7th to Van Hoorbeek. But Hurlings has picked it straight back up, throws the goggles away now. Charlier already without goggles. Can be anything out of laminates. Roll-off stuck to the lens. Jeffrey Hurlings though, how close will he get to the number 17? Nice line through there. Goes a bit wider, cuts across the rut. Kept the momentum going, that's for sure. So over the finish line then, Tommy Searle has completed 4 laps. So too has Christophe Charlier. He's 15 seconds down on Tommy Searle, our race leader. Then we've got Boutron, and then Jeffrey Hurlings, almost 22 seconds down on Tommy Searle. Joel Roulont's has gone through. Again, fastest lap on track. Tommy Searle, 2:52.7 compared to the 3 minutes and the 2:59 and the 3 minutes of the riders behind him, Charlier, Boutron, Hurlings, and the 3:01 of Roulont's. Almost off the side of the bike there, the 17 of Boutron. And Hurlings just making a mistake there in the background, losing ground, losing touch with this guy here in 3rd place. Got a fork guard hanging off the front fork leg. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, although if it does work its way loose and starts to fold in through the spoke area, it's quite hard plastic, that is. So one of the fixing bolts just up on the top, maybe just coming loose, obviously. Or the zip tie coming undone, whichever way they've decided to fasten it. But at the moment, we've got 14 riders over the line. It looks like this: Tommy Searle, Christophe Charlier, Jose Boutron, Jeffrey Hurlings 4th, Roulont's is 5th, Van Hoorbeek is 6th. Lupino only lost 1 position in 7th, so he's found a way back past Max Anstey in 8th. Jake Nichols now in 9th, Harry Koulas is 10th, ahead of Dylan Ferrandis, Michael Lieb, who's 12th, and Jordi Tixier, Petar Petrov. And we're waiting for Glenn Coldenhoff to come through. And he should be in 15th. He was last time around. Then it was Guillaume, Nick Larson, Andrews Armstrong, Julian Lieber, and Marcel Muller. Be interesting to see how many riders have actually gone out in this race. But there's Tommy Searle. He's definitely out there at the moment, our race leader. So 22 riders started here. Conditions maybe just a bit tough for some guys. But Tommy Searle starting to open it up a little bit. Wants to put himself well and truly in the driving seat. The Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. He's got tear-offs on the helmet. You can pull them at any point, get rid of some of the mud on top of the peak. Face full of mud there as he goes through on one of the back markers. Comes over the line now to complete what his 5th lap in this second race. Still got 17.5 minutes plus 2 to go. Got the yellow flags over the tabletop into the left-hander. couple of corners before the finish area. So who's that gone down? We're still waiting for Charlier to come through. It's a dry line starting to appear there. They've actually, you can see all the mud there on the right, either side of the mobile banners. The mud that they've shifted. There's Charlier. I thought he'd gone down. That was him in that corner. The yellow flags were waving for him, so Boutron back in second. Hurling's now in third. Roulant's fourth. Van Hoorbeek's gone through in fifth place. So Charlier obviously couldn't get that bike started or picked up one or the other. And that's played into the hands of Jeffrey Hurlings. That stuck him on the box in third place. Charlier goes through in seventh place now, just ahead of Max Anstey. So Charlier, he'll be kicking himself. He was in a decent position there in second, looking at, well, at the very least, the second overall in the Grand Prix, as Lupino goes through on the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna. There was Charlier just behind him. Lupino there, the rag on the handlebar. Still got his goggles on, though. Past the second, or the first main grandstand on the left. Doesn't look much, that corner, but obviously causing one or two riders. There's Max Anstey in the background, the Honda Esther Garibaldi rider, number 6. Had a good ride in Moto number 1, did Anstey, finishing in 4th position. And looking good here in 8th as well in the second Moto. In terms of the overall, Tommy Searle stays where he is. That'll be 50 points for him. Van Hoorbeek would be second. Wow. So Van Hoorbeek then, with a third and a fifth, that would put him third, tied with Christophe Charlier. So Charlier then, he'll be kicking himself. Boutron will be 4th, Roulants will be 5th, Anstey will be 6th at the moment. Of course, there's still plenty of time for these guys to make a position or lose a position. A little bit congested through there. Anstey just wanting to pick his line as he gets up into that right-hander. Jake Nichols behind him, number 45 in the Star and James Racing KTM. He's done well to close in on his fellow Brit. Jake Nichols in 9th place. Only a couple of seconds between him and Harry Koulas, though. Koulas there, just coming into view. The Rockstar Energy Suzuki rider. Again, Jake Nichols, no goggles for him. Trying to keep his head down, trying to stay out of the roost best he can from Max Anstey. Oh, Jake just getting offline. Tommy Searle, 11.7 seconds. Not quite getting through the wave section as cleanly as the two guys ahead of him. Jake Nichols. But Tommy Searle lost a bit of time that lap. 3:01 to the 2:54 of Jose Boutron. That gap now just under 12 seconds. The mistake from Jake Nichols, hanging off the bike. He's got Koulas closing right upon him and goes through. So a costly mistake there from Jake Nichols. Drops down to 9th place, or 10th place now as Koulas goes through. So the Finn, Harry Koulas, the Rockstar Energy Suzuki rider, who was 10th in Moto number 1, one position slightly better off in this second race. So Jake Nichols now just needs to regroup and focus and try and get himself back in the game here. He'll be disappointed with that little mistake that he made, but Harry Koulas, he won't mind too much. Yellow's there. Oh, who's that? Was that Hurlings? Was that Hurlings that has gone down? I think Hurlings went missing there in the background through that left-hand turn. But if that's the case, Boutron will be still there in second position. Hurlings may have dropped from third. Yeah, there's no sign of Jeffrey Hurlings, so Hurlings then may have been overtaken by Roulants. We're going down a pit lane.
In the pit lane with KTM Diego Racing, Jose Bertron is looking exceedingly well out there. He had a great qualification race and he's remaining in that top 3, even having the race lead at one point. What's making the difference?
Actually, he was really confident. He had been having a good week last week, and he liked very much this track. Those conditions are made for him, I think. He took the whole shot, which is a really good point with those conditions of race. And I think if he can keep on his wheel, he will go on the podium for sure for the second race.
Thank you.
Marcel Muller goes down, the Brazilian on the Kawasaki. And he was in 19th position as the 108 goes through. We've seen him before going down. That's Jeremias Dubano, the Argentine. Thought he'd gone down again behind the trees, but Tommy Searle. Marcel Muller taking a look down, parked right across the middle of the track. But Tommy Searle, fastest man on track, 251.8 that time around. Boutron now 12 seconds down. Hurlings were waiting for him, but he made a mistake a moment ago, just off of camera shot. Well, Jeffrey Hurlings is still in 3rd position, so maybe it was his teammate Van Hoorbeek, perhaps, that made a mistake. It was certainly a KTM rider in amongst the leading riders. A moment ago, a lap or so ago. Roulance is through. Van Hoorbeek was 5th last time around. Charlier then, he goes through into 5th place. We're waiting for Van Hoorbeek, so there's the answer. Anstey goes through in 6th. Van Hoorbeek still not through. Lupino 7th. Van Hoorbeek, we're waiting for him. It's Harry Kulas in 8th. Nichols in 9th. And Van Hoorbeek was just getting going as Jake Nichols came through, so yeah, Van Hoorbeek down in 10th place. So that'll be Van Hoorbeek off the podium at the moment then at this rate. Boutron. That's Kulas, the 151, the Rockstar Energy Suzuki rider. Coming out of turn 3 down into turn 4. Past the huge grandstand area. We've got just under 10 minutes to go, plus 2 laps. Jake Nichols still trying to close in on Harry Kulas just ahead of him there. That's these two in shot, battling over 8th place. Then we've got Van Hoorbeek in the background. He's in 9th. In 10th place, sorry. Jake Nichols there, 45, then the Stan Gem Racing KTM rider. He's there in 9th position. There's Lupino just at the bottom of the shot, disappearing. That's 7th place. And Max Anstey already at the top of the hill, look, just ahead of Lupino here, number 77. So not a lot in between those two guys. So Max Anstey relishing these conditions, as you'd imagine. That's the corner where Lupino made that mistake. Back marker got cleanly in front of him and left him with nowhere to go. The front end folded, lost a position or two, did Lupino. But he's there now in 7th place. But not an easy circuit. Tough Grand Prix. Oh, Jake Nichols having to just park himself on the brakes there in that left-hander. Looked like he carried maybe a bit too much speed, didn't want to run on. Hit those holes as well and managed to pull it back. But Tommy Searle, he's completed 8 laps. So too has Jose Boutron. He's going for his first podium finish. Hurlings, 9 seconds further back in 3rd. And wait for Joel Roulance to come through in 4th place, but there's his teammate, Hurlings. That's Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. The Red Bull KTM rider, he's got Jake Nichols just ahead of him, so he's trying to rectify the mistake that he made, and he's closed right back in on the Nissan GM Racing KTM rider. So Jake Nichols in danger here of losing that 9th place to the number 89 Red Bull KTM of Jeremy Van Hoorbeek there, just behind him. Pretty much one line, Van Hoorbeek just having to picking himself up through that rut there. Kulas all over the back of Lupino. Not sure what the best way to go through that final corner is. Back onto the start straight. It seems if you go tight, you get swamped, and if you go through the middle, you get swamped. Jeffrey Hurlings, probably the fastest lap. Well, his fastest lap of the race, and he was the fastest man on track then with a 2:51.9. So looking at trying to close down the gap between himself and Boutron. He'll believe that with 7+2, as Nichols makes another mistake in the same area that Van Hoorbeek went missing a couple of laps ago. But just keeps it upright, does Jake Nichols. That will lose him time to the Suzuki of Harry Kulas. That's our onboard camera, Marcel Muller of Brazil. Just coming in to get the handlebars clean. That just gives you some indication as to how much rain we've had just through there. But with 6.5 minutes to go, Tommy Searle still leads. He's 13 seconds clear of the Spaniard, Jose Boutron. Top of the hill, number 6, Max Anstey. He's there in 6th position on the Garibaldi Honda Ester machine. Trying to pick his way through some of these deep ruts. Got Alexandro Lupino just behind him there, number 77 on the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna. Then Harry Kulas closing right in as Tommy Searle goes through a half a lap further up the field than those guys to take the finish line to complete his 9th lap. And we wait for Boutron to come over the line. What is he, about 12, 13 seconds back, something like that. Ito, Tommy's mechanic there. Tell him to focus, 16 seconds, well, it's actually 13.6, but let's not put the guy under pressure, eh? To the tune of about 3 seconds. Tommy Searle just on the pegs, just trying to pick his lines. Has no reason to rush. There's Boutron in the background. So Boutron can see Tommy Searle. So this would be a massive confidence booster for the Brit, Tommy Searle. Got 5 minutes plus 2 to go. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, call it almost 11 minutes of racing, dependent, of course, how he goes through in terms of the 2 lap board. Because if he just goes through, as we look at Hurlings in 3rd place, Tommy Searle goes through with about 5 seconds to spare, he'll get an extra lap as opposed to taking the 2 lap board if he went through bang on the money. So there's the potential there in terms of the fuel, the extra lap, the extra risk of doing an extra lap and that kind of thing in these conditions. But Jeffrey Hurling's looking good at the moment. Not that close to Boutron, but 11 seconds. He's got a nice gap between himself and Roulance, we just saw there, going in the opposite direction. But this is all about damage limitation for Jeffrey Hurlings. He knows Tommy Searle's going to want to try and close him down in the championship. As Valentin Guillot, the 173 on the Scott Racing KTM machine, who's down in 16th place at the moment, gets lapped there by Alessandro Lupino, the number 77. That guy there in the red and white, the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna, the factory bike from Italy. Harry Kulas up the inside of Guillot as well. Not a lot of room for the back markers to disappear into. There, for instance, you can't go too far offline without ruining it for yourself, but you have to focus the whole time around here. There is a very distinct dry line appearing, though. Machines might be able to get out and do something in the brief spell between this race and MX1, but looking highly unlikely, I would think, apart from the start line area. A little bit further down the order. So there's Tommy Searle in 1st, Jose Boutron is 2nd, Hurlings is 3rd, Joel Roulance is 4th, Charlier is 5th, Max Anstey is 6th, Alessandro Lupino is 7th, Harry Kulas is 8th, 9th is Jake Nichols, and 10th is Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. Dylan Ferrandis is 11th, ahead of Jordi Tixier as Lupino almost comes to grief. 12th is Tixier, Petrov is 13th, Coldenhoff 14th, Michael Lee, Valentin Guillot, Nikolai Larson, Andrews Armstrong, Julian Lieber and Marcel Muller rounding out your top 20. Of course, only 2 riders started this race. 22 riders, sorry. As we look at Boutron just disappearing out of shot. So Boutron going through. Ooh, he's only 9 seconds down on Tommy Searle now. So Tommy Searle's made another mistake because that lap time for him, 2:54.5, 2:49.8 for Boutron. Hurling's fastest man on the track of the race as well with a 2:47. He's only 17 seconds down on our leader. So Jose Boutron then putting his fastest lap in of the race on lap 10. Jeffrey Hurling's the fastest lap of the race. Another 8 seconds further back. And that's him at the back end of the straight there. That doesn't look like 8 seconds now, which is what it was when he went over the finish line just a moment ago, about a half a lap or so ago. So Jeffrey Hurling's then going after second place, so that'll be better for him in the championship. That'll keep it to more than 25 points, more than a race advantage in the championship chase. But Tommy Searle, not sure what his issue was there because he lost a lot of time, 5 seconds even, to Boutron. So Tommy Searle, that's the podium at the moment. Searle, Charlier, Boutron. So it'll be the first time that Hurlings wouldn't have made the podium in 2012. Hurlings would only, well, at this rate, only pick up 29 points, down in 7th overall. There's Michael Lieb in between Hurlings there and Boutron. And Hurlings definitely closing in on the Spaniard, Jose Boutron. Michael Lieb, a back marker, down in 15th place for the Monster Energy Yamaha. Just pulls a tear off. Hurlings getting through the wave section just that little bit quicker than the American, Michael Lieb. Lieb making Hurlings go the long way round. And he almost comes to grief. Gets piled down, buried in the deep. Oh, and almost off the side. He is off the track. Jeffrey Hurlings, got to be careful. We've got TV cables all the way down there, down that straight. So a big mistake then. Look, he can't get on the straight there. Jeffrey Hurlings rejoins now and goes through in 3rd place. But look at that, it's cost him 10 seconds to Jose Boutron. So I wonder if at that point, with 2 laps to go, Jeffrey Hurlings is just going to throw in the towel and say, you know what, that was a lucky escape. I'm happy to pick up 20 points here in his second moto. But keeps it on 2 wheels. Keeps himself in 3rd place as well, does Jeffrey Hurlings, number 84. But Tommy Searle now, 11.2 clear of Jose Boutron. Then we've got Hurlings here in 3rd. Roulon still 4th. 38 seconds down on our leader, Tommy Searle. And about as far back again as Christophe Charlier in that 5th place. Max Anstey still remains in 6th position. Look at that. Got the wrong side. He was almost down off the bike, was Hurlings. Thought about where he could maybe get on to the track. Look at the water laying down there. That's how much rain we've had. So considering all of that, the circuit in not too bad a condition, has to be said. Right, Tommy Searle, back with our race leader. Oh, legging his way through there. Virtual Grand Prix winner. Still got a couple laps to go as the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. A couple of good starts today, that was key. Tommy Searle definitely pulling them out of the bag. The first one, he was right there where he needed to be and almost pulled the whole shot alongside Boutron coming out of that first turn, but managed to find a way past Boutron when he made a mistake. But still a very, very tough circuit to ride here, despite his advantage of more than 10 seconds, Tommy Searle. Still got to concentrate fully on the job in hand here. That's picking up another 25 points to narrow the gap to 20 come the second at the end of the race. And that puts him back in contention for a world title challenge on Jeffrey Hurlings. 2-lap board, 1-lap board about to go out now, is it? No, it's 2 laps to go now. So Tommy Searle then starts his penultimate lap. Needs to nudge aside the back marker. Manages to do that. There's Boutron, he's second. He's only 9.8 seconds down on Tommy Searle. We've got a yellow flag down there in the corner. Is that our back marker, or is it our race leader, Tommy Searle? Difficult to see there. Oh, it's our back marker there, just on the face of the jump. Heart and mouth stuff there for a moment. So Tommy Searle lucky to pass the back marker when he did at turn 2. Because that could have been detrimental in terms of taking a second race win potentially. Boutron will be swinging it up into that corner in the background any moment now. Still only 9.8 seconds down. Been a very tough Brazilian Grand Prix. It's been a bit of fun while we've been here as well, since arriving from Mexico. Most of the hotels dotted along the beach. Riders having a bit of fun out in the theme park, but at Beta Carrero, which is where we are. But it's been all about business today, especially when the rain fell. If you had to be focused, today was the time to do it. Tommy Searle, certainly that at the moment. Boutron, though, likewise for him, in second position in this second moto. Hurlings is still third, but he has thrown in the towel now. 21 seconds down on Boutron. So Hurlings in third, Roulan's fourth, Charlier fifth. Anstey still in sixth, Lupino seventh, Harry Koulas is 8th, Van Hoorbeek is 9th, Jake Nichols hanging on for 10th place at the moment, the Stan GM Racing Kawasaki rider. The Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki of Dylan Ferrandis is in 11th, then Jordi Tixier, the Red Bull KTM, in 12th. Glenn Koldenhoff looking at trying to pick up more points. He was currently in 13th position ahead of Michael Lee, Petr Petrov and Valentin Guillot. And then riding out the top 20, Nick Larson, 17th, Julian Lieber, Andrews Armstrong and Marcel Muller. So you want to score a point, just keep circulating, I think the motto is. Wasn't a full lineup, 10 dropouts for the start of this second race. Oh, gnarly old rut, look at that. Get out of it early, get on the gas. No sense being there if you don't need to be. That's Boutron in the opposite turn. So Tommy Searle then 1 lap away from a double moto victory here at the Brazilian Grand Prix, sponsored by Honda. Hasn't been easy by any shot of the imagination. Just trying to pick his lines cleanly. MX1 guys are up. Top of the hour, just 3 minutes after 4 o'clock local time. So they'll have a circuit even more difficult. You're probably hear them revving up just alongside our commentary position here. Glad to see that fork guard has worked its way loose and fell free of the front wheel off the front end of that Digger Racing KTM that the Spaniard Jose Boutron is on. But he'll be super pumped with this. He's got Hurlings a mile back from him in third place. Just needs to focus now, does Boutron. Takes a look coming out of that turn, see where Hurlings is, can't see him, thinks, right, that's good news. But Tommy Searle still has to negotiate this back marker here at the end of the straight. Fortunately for him, Boutron still 7 seconds away from him, but back marker now moves out of the way. Tommy Searle doesn't get hung up for too long. Just managing the situation now, Tommy Searle. Just this one off-camber turn to which she's in what she's got to negotiate. That's Valentin Guillot, 173. Still there in 16th place. Tommy Searle, we'll wait for him to come through the camber just before this corner. Our race leader. Back marker there. Valentin Guyot just behind him. Tommy Searle coming over the tabletop any moment now. In the background here is Tommy Searle, our race leader. He's about 4 corners away from the checkered flag, Tommy Searle. And this will do his championship a world of good. Say he was 41 points down when he arrived here in Brazil. If Jose Butron comes over the line in second and Herlings remains there in third place, 11 seconds behind him is Roulants. If Herling stays there, then of course that gap now would be down to 20 points. French Grand Prix in 2 weekends' time at Saint-Jean d'Angely. I'm sure there'll be a massive British contingent there. Be a whole bunch of Dutch there as well. Out of the final corner, the number 100, Floride Monster Energy Kawasaki Pro Circuit rider Tommy Searle takes the checkered flag. It's his first double moto win of 2012. He wins the Honda Brazil Grand Prix. And look at that. He knows that's a great moment for him. Up on the pegs, down a start straight. And Tommy Searle, overall Grand Prix winner here. Round 5 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. Takes a long look back. Jose Butron over the line in second, 11 seconds further back. So a great ride for the Spaniard. And Gigi there from Golden Tire, getting ready to give him the sponsor's hat for the podium. Herlings did go through in third. Can't hear.
How
here we go.
Feeling?
I feel good. I hate these conditions and anything can happen, and today it went my way, so really happy, and I can't thank everyone enough because it was so hard to get the bike ready in between races, but I've done it, so I'm happy.
Well done.
Yeah, not a lot of time to get the bikes ready, especially when conditions are as heavy as they are. Doesn't matter on the pressure of the jet wash, it still takes a lot of time to get them bikes cleaned up, and of course, you know, then you've got to check them all over and make sure that everything's running all right in a limited time in between motos. But Tommy Searle, for now, your overall winner. Butron second, Jeffrey Herlings third, Joel Roulant fourth in the race. And we wait for Charlier. Goes over the line now fifth. Van Hoorbeek is sixth. Anstey should be through there any moment now in seventh, and is. And then we wait for Lupino. Lupino's over the line in eighth. Then we've got Harry Koulas. He'll be next. And then Jake Nichols should round out in 10th. In terms of the overall Grand Prix, it will be Tommy Searle. Charlier will be second, and Butron. So second place finish in the second moto will be good enough to get him on the podium here this weekend. He'll finish third. First time ever on a podium for the Spaniard. So Tommy Searle then wins the second race here in Brazil. That goes with his first race win as well. Double moto victory, Tommy Searle. 50 points on the board. He's your Brazilian Grand Prix winner. We'll be back in a moment. So for those of you who are still with us, Tommy Searle, Jose Butron, Jeffrey Herlings, Joel Roulant, Christophe Charlier, Van Hoorbeek, Max Anstey, Alex Lupino, Harry Koulas, and Jake Nichols. They were your top 10. Dylan Ferrandis came home in 11th place. Then Jordi Tixier was 12th after falling on the first lap, remember. Then Michael Lee picking up points in probably the worst conditions that he's ridden. And then it was Petrov, Koldenhoff, Guyot, Larson, Lieber. Here's what happened in moto number 2. Tommy Searle got a great jump off the start. Van Hoorbeek got squeezed there between Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Herlings, but Tommy Searle needed a couple of laps to find his way past the Spaniard of Jose Butron. Jordi Tixier fell in the opening stages of the race, but managed to pick himself up, just like this guy here, Marcel Muller. But then in the closing stages, Tommy Searle, who was our leader, had a nice gap between himself and Jose Butron. Jeffrey Herlings picked himself up to finish in third place. And Jose Butron, well, he was looking on course for his first ever podium finish in a race and an overall. Charlier, he made a mistake. That's cost him in terms of the podium at that point, but then he managed to pick off another couple of positions to secure that second overall, his first ever overall podium visit as well in MX2, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. But the checkered flag went out. It was Tommy Searle who celebrated with a second race win here at the Honda Grand Prix of Brazil. And despite the conditions that we've been faced with all day, on and off rain, those conditions holding off at the moment. Take a look behind me, the window. A little bit great, but there you go. Podium, though, is undercover. And we'll see our 3 overall Grand Prix finishers in a moment. Of course, it'll be Jose Boutron third, Charlier second, and Tommy Searle, our overall winner. Here's classification then of our overall race result for Moto number 2, round 5 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. Slow-mo says it all. Tommy Searle, number 100, the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, victorious again, just like he was in Moto number 1. Second was Jose Boutron. Third was Jeffrey Hurlings. Joe Roulance was fourth. Christophe Charlier, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, Max Anstey, and Alessandro Lupino. They were your top 8. Ninth was Harry Koulas, and 10th was Jake Nichols. Dylan Ferrandis was 11th, ahead of Jordi Tixier, Michael Lieb, Petr Petrov, Glenn Coldenhoff, and Valentin Guyot, with Nick Larson, Julian Lieber, Andrews Armstrong, and Marcel Muller down in 20th place. And the overall Grand Prix victory then, as a result of those 2 wins, belongs to Tommy Searle. 50 points, and he's pulled a whole bunch of points back on Jeffrey Hurlings. Look at that. So Charlier second and Boutron third, their first visits to a podium, and then it was Van Hoorbeek and the rest. Charlier on the Yamaha was in danger of losing that second overall after a mistake, but he recovered well, and it's going to be well, a Monster Energy Kawasaki, a Monster Energy Yamaha, and a Diga Racing KTM. The 3 podium finishers. Be interesting to hear what he has to say actually as well. Well, likewise for also 23, Christophe Charlier. But equally so, Jose Boutron. Well, there is the podium. There are the 3 bikes. Any moment now, we will welcome our 3 finishers onto the podium. And here is Jose Boutron, the Diga Racing KTM rider, takes his first ever podium, and look at that. He's absolutely full of emotion. The hard work paying off for the Spaniard, and that is relief for him. Christophe Charlier, second overall, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Not as emotional. This guy used to visit in the podiums, 2009 European MX2 champion, of course, took a whole bunch of race wins that year, 16, 17 wins to the 8 that Jeffrey Hurlings took in the same season that took him to second. But Tommy Searle, the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, goes 1-1, takes 50 points, the overall Grand Prix victory, and he stands on the top step of the podium for the second time this year. Harry Nolte, the team manager, going to be picking up the Kawasaki Honours Manufacturers Award. Third place trophy goes to Jose Boutron, Alexander Curie from Honda, presenting him with that third place trophy, and that's a nice bit of silverware as well for him, and that'll take pride of place in the overhead locker, I'm sure, on the plane home tomorrow. Won't get in his rucksack, will he? Jorge Viejas, the vice president, or the deputy president of the FIM, hands a second place trophy to Christophe Charlier. His first FIM MX2 Grand Prix trophy as well. And Tommy Searle will take the winner's trophy this weekend. 2 wins out of 2 for him. You heard in the interview post-race, immediately after the race, he was pretty happy with his result. Track conditions weren't his favourite, but he's dug in, got the job done. Fitness would have played a part as well. So I'm sure his trainer Kurt Gibbons would have been straight on the phone to him. But Mashiro Tagadagana, I've got a problem with the screen there from Honda. Handing Tommy Searle his winner's trophy here in Brazil. Marcello Natalini from Pirelli hands the manufacturer's trophy to Harry Nolte of Team Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. They're winning manufacturers here this weekend. But Jeffrey Hurlings, despite not being on the podium this weekend, still leads the championship, although that lead has been cut now from 40 points. That's what he had over Van Hoorbeek, but 41 points over Tommy Searle to 20. And there he is, looking a little bit sheepish over there, stage left, quite literally. It's another red plate. He's led the championship from the first round. Dr. Wolfgang Strupp doing the honours once again. Well, photo opportunities first, and then, of course, it'll be the national anthem Great Britain for Tommy Searle. He's your Brazilian Grand Prix winner here in 2012 at Beto Carreiro. And Kawasaki winning manufacturers this weekend. Here's a national anthem for Japan. Tommy Searle wins the Honda Grand Prix of Brazil here, round 5 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. He does so with 2 back-to-back race wins, his first double win of the season. Christophe Charlier was second on the Monster Energy Yamaha, and Jose Boutron takes third for Spain. And they're going to party tonight, and they'll look forward to the long trip back home tomorrow as we head back to Europe, because the next round is going to be in France in 2 weeks' time at Saint-Jean-d'Angely, a circuit that Tommy Searle has won on in the past. And that's the confirmation of the championship standings. Hurlings 223, Tommy Searle now just 20 points back. Van Hoorbeek, Roulants, Anstey, Tixier, Nichols down in 7th. Lupino 9th there, Harry Kulas and Jose Boutron now 11th. Where was he at the start of the weekend? Well, he was 12th, so he's gained a position after all of that hard work as Jose Boutron. Well, that's pretty much it for our MX2 coverage. Certainly on Motors TV anyway, but in a moment we will be back with MX1. Hopefully we might be able to grab a quick word with Tommy Searle before they arrive back onto the line, the MX1 guys, and before our broadcast on Motors Television. But if not, you can see it in our 52-minute highlight show. Don't forget, on MX Live TV, you can see our exclusive interview with our top 3 from MX1 and, of course, our winner from MX2. That's within about 5 minutes or so of the MX1 closing program on Motors Television. So Amy will be down there talking to all our 3 winners from MX1 and, of course, Tommy Searle again in a little bit more detail.